The mechanical bearing is one of the best blocks in all of Create, and I'm here to explain why. Now keep in mind, I do know that each of these farms do make use of different mechanical blocks, but all three of these essential farms make use of the exact same block that is very crucial to their own design. That block would be the mechanical bearing, of course, and yeah, no further explanation. It's very useful and you can use it for a lot of other builds if you really want to. Okay, so before we can actually touch on any of the farms in this video, we need to touch on the block itself. The mechanical bearing is, in its name, a mechanical block, and it rotates. If I were to have some sort of block on top of it, it'll spin around. And, you know, just a single block spinning around is not where this block has its strengths. I mean, it can be fun to have just one block that spins beneath you, but ultimately it's not all that useful. What really comes in handy is in combination with super glue or chassis or, you know, anything that will connect up the blocks together. In order to craft the mechanical bearing in base Create or any mod pack that makes use of the classic recipes, you'll need yourself a single shaft, single andesite casing, and one slab of any wood type, and it needs to be in this exact order. You can put it in any of the 3 columns. That's a vertical, if you're wondering. You'll get yourself one mechanical bearing. For anyone watching this who might not know who I am, hi, I'm Cyrus. Now that we've covered that, we can actually move on to the first farm of the video. And this farm would be the wheat farm. This is useful for the fact that it gives you if you're playing in a mod pack that makes use of seeds for any reason, you know, like seed oil, you get yourself plenty of seeds this way. And wheat is another valuable resource that is produced through this farm. You can use wheat for bread, you can use wheat for cake, you can use wheat for all sorts of things, but what you might actually want to think about when making a wheat farm is the fact that you can actually use your wheat to make slime balls. It's a weird thing to think about, but yeah, you can indeed craft slime balls. You just need lime dye and some way of getting dough. Dough is as simple as wheat flour and water. You can mix it in a basin like so, if you pump the water into the basin, or you can just have a water bucket that keeps flowing and pumping into there somehow. Other than that, it might depend on what mod pack you're playing. Maybe you'll have some other crops that you might want to farm or harvest this way. And maybe you'll have some other uses for wheat or, you know, any other crop that I haven't mentioned. You can do this with any of the crop types. You can use potato, carrot, beets, maybe maybe you can farm melon seeds or pumpkin seeds if you just want to grow the stems, but that that sounds really silly to me, so I don't know about that one. And of course, as I said, if there's a modded crop that you want to farm that's in the similar category as wheat or carrots or potatoes or anything like that, you can indeed use this to farm that. Here's a quick tip as to how I would recommend plowing your plots. Just use the same mechanical bearing that you're going to use in the center of your farm to shape out the circle that you might want. And then you can replace either the center blocks with water or the corners with water. In this example, I did both just to ensure that all of the farm plots get covered with water. But when you stop a machine, it'll actually replace the soil or the farmland with regular dirt, and if it collides with any blocks, here's an example. If it stops and collides with a block, it'll actually destroy the block and replace it with its own blocks. I haven't actually tried obsidian, but maybe this will be a bit of an exploit if you have some form of, oh hey, oh okay. So if I were to do something like this, you could probably tell what I'm going here. You can actually set up some sort of farm for your obsidian if you have some way of stopping your mechanical bearing. That is interesting. Keep that in mind. Just instantly mine obsidian, why don't you? I've gone entirely off track. That's cool. Oh my god, dude, that is brilliant. I might come back again later with the obsidian farm. Let me know if you want to see that. Okay. The next farm that I want to talk about is actually what you would call a tree farm. This method of farming trees is, you know, similar to this where it spins around, but instead of deploying seeds, it deploys saplings, and instead of harvesters, it uses mechanical saws. It'll spin around, and if a tree grows, it'll collide with the bottom block and chop that up, and then it'll continue on and then replace the missing tree sapling with a sapling. And as it spins around, it'll stop and connect with this portable storage interface and then go on into whatever storage device you have set up. Storage drawers obviously is not a part of the Create mod. It's just a very useful mod that goes hand in hand with Create mod typically in a lot of mod packs. Or, you know, just any mod that's similar to storage drawers you'll see with Create because of just how useful this type of thing is, you know? It's very useful. I guess that's a tip if you're making your own mod pack with Create. I would recommend something like this. Anyways, on to the next farm, which is another useful farm. It's probably less essential than the other ones because you can see where wood and apples would be useful. You might not see where the use in kelp is. Typically in base Create, you do use 6 dried kelp in order to craft yourself a mechanical belt. The mechanical belts are pretty useful for just transporting items from one space to another space. If you have no access to any pipes, like any item pipes or, you know, any system or anything like that, it's a highly useful item in base Create. I wouldn't recommend making one this big, but if you want to, you can. And when it comes to making a farm like this, I only make it too tall at the start of the game because it might be a little expensive to craft yourself 3 harvesters or, you know, 2 harvesters at that. And if you go any deeper than 2 blocks, the kelp will grow taller and taller. And if you only have 1 harvester at the bottom level of, well, not at the base of the kelp, but like 1 block up from the kelp so that it still grows, you'll find that a lot of kelp will just be floating at the surface of the water and not actually be collected up into the system. So keep that in mind when building a kelp farm. Simple fix would just be to have 1 harvester at the bottom and then another harvester up top, and then for as tall as you want to make it. That's the easiest way that I can explain that. But I would say that's about all that we have for the farms. Here's the most important part of the video. Please do exactly as this says. In fact, I'm going to add to this and say, I don't know, try to like this video if you liked it and leave a comment. I would love to hear your guys' feedback. Let me know if there's any farms that I might have left out that are pretty important with mechanical bearings because, of course, they're highly useful. I'm sure you could probably do all sorts of things with this farm. That's about everything I can say for today. Bye.